Oh my goodness. Now can you hear me? Yes, I believe you can. So anyways, I was just saying that last week I missed being here because Friday Night Live is a fun part of my week, and we had a really awesome time last week when we went to Utah. And me, Renee, and Willow, we had a great road trip. It was really fun, just a little getaway. But we were right there in the mountains. You know, we woke up, we drove in at night, so we couldn't see anything. And then we drove in at night, and it was like, the next morning woke up and there are these gigantic mountains, right? We live near mountains here in the Northwest, but we were much closer to the mountains there, and they were a magnificent kind of thing to wake up to. So that kind of inspired me to want to paint a mountain scene this week. So anyways, if you're here and you have questions, you have anything that you want to talk about, make sure to shout it out. Peter's gonna be reading things off to me. And we're going to jump into this.
All right.
Peter's, yeah.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, I missed you guys
a
couple of weeks ago when you couldn't hear me or whatever.
Yeah, I know. We've had our technical difficulties, haven't we?
Kalika asks, is this always acrylics? I paint in oils. Yes, it is always acrylics, but you can apply the techniques for oils for sure.
Absolutely.
It won't be long before Jed converts you, though.
Well, you know, I do love the challenge of talking to oil painters and trying to convert them to be acrylic painters. But no, this is most everything that you see. I learned from an oil painter. The very first workshop I took, I was painting in acrylics, he was painting in oils, and I've taken lots of workshops that way. So it like 90% of what you see done is you can apply pretty easily. There's certain things like it's going to dry differently, and there's going to be different applications every once in a while. But in general, it's more about time than it is about the method or the process. Yeah. But I want to go over this real quick. This is titanium white, cadmium yellow light, cadmium orange. This is quinacridone red. If you're looking in Liquitex, it's quinacridone crimson. This is ultramarine blue. This is black, Mars black to be specific. This is a neutral gray. It's actually called Vancouver gray. And Ted was asking me last week because he tried to get it. And it's a special item. You can't get it all the time because they make it out of the batches that get screwed up and whatever. So you can't get it all the time. But if you do go to Chroma with a K paints in Vancouver, that's where I get it. This is phthalo blue right here. So we're going to use a little bit of that tonight because we got this nice cool blues in this snow. So super fun. I'm going to be putting this on. I'm going to sketch it out right now with my paintbrush. Interrupt me anytime, Peter. But I'll just keep talking if you're not going to interrupt me. So
I'll probably interrupt you a few times.
Okay.
So we got Tracy Gordon. Hello, happy Friday from Ottawa.
Hey Tracy, good to hear from you.
Jane Lamb from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Gene Hudson from Napanee, Ontario.
Nice.
Judy Bishop from Whidbey Island. Linnea Friedrich. Hi from Hartford, Wisconsin.
Nice. I love it. I love it.
Maureen, hi everyone. It's been a while. So nice to see you. Maureen in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. It has been a while. I missed you guys.
Yeah, it has. Man, for sure.
James Reinhardt Smith says, hello everyone from San Francisco Bay, California. And go ahead, Jay.
Okay. No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's funny because I like a break every once in a while, like it was kind of nice to go somewhere last week and do something different. It's funny though too at the same time how, we've had a few weeks recently where we haven't been on, and it's just funny how I miss it. I really do. So it's fun to be back.
Yeah, for sure. Jed, yeah, I was like, He took off on me, guys. He left me all alone.
Oh, dude, we totally did. Well, you want to think about spur of the moment. Okay, here's the deal.
Yeah, you got to tell me.
I mean, I won't go into all of it because it's just like the way it all happened is it doesn't matter really exactly, but you just have to think that so we left Thursday morning. Wednesday night, at 6 p.m., it was not even a thought in my head. I mean, it was a small thought in my head, but not much of a thought at all. Wednesday at about 9 o'clock, it became a little bit more of a thought in my head because of a conversation I was having with somebody. And that was when I started talking to Renee and Willow about it. Like 9 in the evening, saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And then I started thinking, hey, would you guys want to come? Because like, I wasn't necessarily thinking this is going to be like a family getaway at first. I was thinking like, I think that this is something I should do. I want to, do this. And then I started thinking, but actually this would be perfect. Like we could all do this. Like, let's take this. And so Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, imagine me talking to Renee. We're sitting on the couch. Willow's there right next to us, like listening in, and then talking with us also. And this is her reaction. She goes, Dad, we are not leaving in the morning on this trip. like she's like adamant, like, Dad, this is crazy. We are not doing this. But the funny thing was that Renee never said that. She never, out of everybody in our family, she would have been the one that I would have suspected would say, Jed, come on, like this is a little too last minute, a little too crazy. We're not doing it. No way. But she was actually one of the, like she was kind of like, actually, I think this would be a good thing. Let's make this happen. Because she said later, she just kept trying to think of a reason why we shouldn't do it, and she couldn't come up with a reason. So anyways, that was our spontaneous last minute. Actually, decision was made at about 10:30 that night to do it, and we left the next morning, and we drove 14 hours that day. So yeah,
Nice.
fun, spontaneous. And then we called Peter. I was like, told Peter, like, when did I tell you? I think I told you that morning, didn't I, or something, or maybe late that night.
No, yeah,
that
you told me that night. I was like, I hopped off. I think I don't know what I was doing. Probably hanging out with Andrew or something. And then I checked
Yeah.
Discord to see if he had said anything while I was playing. And I like rubbed my eyes. I'm like,
goodness.
wait a minute.
Wait, what the heck?
What?
What am I seeing
That
here?
says Utah.
Yeah.
Is that?
I know, man. I know. It was a little, I understand. Like, it
all
probably
good, though,
felt
yeah.
really, really weird. Yeah, it was so fun, though, man. I wish that you could have gone.
Yeah.
I really do. Next time you will. My phone just,
Next time. Yeah.
I should, did you hear that? Yeah, I just got a message from Gary Vaynerchuk. That's cool. How awesome
I
is
did too.
that?
I didn't know you. I didn't know you signed up on those. That's funny.
Oh, no, I'd not. His was personal to me, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
Pretty sure it was a personal message.
Totally.
Oh, man. Very funny.
We have fun
Okay.
here at Acrylic University.
That's right, man. And that's why I put that up there. Learn to paint and have fun doing it.
Exactly. Jan, what's
Man.
up? Good to see you.
Hey!
Sharon
I see.
Turetsky, hi from Windy Anacortes, Washington.
Yeah, it is windy. It's so windy, man. I'm right with you on that, Sharon. It's windy here too. Yeah. So I'm realizing that we're not going to have this next week, and there's a pretty good reason why. But the cool thing that's going to happen after that, we have to decide when we're actually starting, Peter, the world tour. But like the exact date, if it's going to be January, the 1st of January or whatever, or if we're going to do something more like that week after Christmas if we're gonna like, ease into it, or I don't know. We have to decide that. But that is, I was thinking about it more today because I started getting last night I was thinking about where we're going and stuff, and I was like, yeah, man, this is gonna be super fun. I'm using this small brush right now. I'm gonna break out the little bit bigger one. Just in case you don't know, this is a Princeton Catalyst, one of my favorite brushes, meaning one of my set of favorite brushes. They're all Princeton Catalyst. Although Princeton makes another brush called the Aspen, and I've been hearing really good things about that from different people. I have a couple of them, and I like them. I've just not used them quite as much, so I don't have as much to say about them, but I suspect that if they're made by Princeton, they're probably pretty nice.
Oh yeah.
And from what I've experienced, they are. Yeah, but aren't you pumped up about that too, Peter? I mean, that's gonna be fun, dude.
Road trip, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Naomi Cooper, how's it going? She says hello, Jed and Peter.
Hey, Naomi. Is there a better light angle? Let me see.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a lot of... Yeah, I see what you're saying. I can go like that. I mean, it's going to be kind of dark right now, and then I might need to adjust it back but I haven't put in that many light colors yet. I'm still working fairly dark here because I'm just trying to get a little bit of color into these shadowy areas in the picture, so that later when we they'll be dark, but they won't be black. That's my goal.
Yeah.
But thanks for saying that, Melanie, because I can definitely raise that up a little bit like this, and hopefully you can see a little bit better now. Okay.
Gene Hudson says it's easier to see full screen. Yeah, it is. Beverly says, hey, Jed and Peter, enjoying watching you, Jed, as always. Thank you. Yeah, Jed is
thanks.
Jed's fun to watch.
Well, it depends. If I'm trying to do something, I was just thinking what would be fun to watch me try to do. Painting might be kind of fun. I don't know, but there's probably a lot of other things that if you watch me try to do it, it'd be even more fun.
Yeah.
Like,
gymnastics.
I mean, yeah, gymnastics. Like, man, Willow, we bought I don't know, you can just call it a bar, I guess. It's just called a bar, but it's a gymnastics bar, the kind of thing that you hang on and do like those things in the air, like you kind of like do twists and whatever, all that kind of stuff that gymnasts do. And I was totally thinking about it as I'm watching Willow last night. She's kind of hanging and doing all these things, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm really glad that it's too small for me to really like do anything on, because I'm sure if it wasn't, Willow would want me to get up there. And I'm sure if I got up there, it would be quite dangerous. I have this feeling like I would probably, sorry, just raising that up a little bit more even. I feel like I would probably hurt myself pretty bad. Yeah. That to me, even though it wouldn't be fun or funny for me in that moment, I could imagine that being something that would be really fun to watch me do. Yeah. If you don't mind seeing me get hurt.
Yeah, Willow would get a kick out of that.
Yeah. Man, Renee told me this morning that she said to her, yeah, my stomach muscles are really sore. She was on that bar for so much time yesterday. I mean, it was, granted, it was like day 2 of her having it, and I said as much. I said, well, that's good. I mean, it's day 2, so, I mean, I hope that you're still interested in it, you know, at this point. But, like, she's kept going today on it, and I feel like, man, that has got to be such an incredible workout. I mean, I was watching, and I was just thinking that last night. I'm like, wow, like, she's just, I don't know, full body. Okay, so we're kind of laying in all these dark values, and I'm about to start getting some of the lighter values going, but I've just got a little bit more over here to do before I do.
Oh, the reference photo should be in the description. Yeah, it is.
It should.
It is the correct one.
Okay, good.
We got a question here. Oh, Sloan asks, do you use any sort of medium to keep your acrylics from drying too quickly?
No, I don't. But Sloan, this is a Masterson Stay Wet palette. So this has like a permeable paper, and underneath there is well, it comes with a sponge. Underneath right now, I just have some paper towels and they're wet. They're soaked and saturated so that water from underneath can still come through. It's not as wet as sometimes it is, but it's enough to keep it from drying out, and I can go back into it and find the old colors that I used and reuse them. So that's how I kind of get away with, it'll still dry really fast on the canvas, but it won't dry really fast over here. And that's okay with me. I don't mind it drying on the canvas usually, but I kind of need to be able to dip back into things when I want to over here. So that's how it works for me.
Sloan says, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good question. And I'm happy to answer questions like that while I'm going. I don't anticipate, or I can't read, your mind. So like if you do have a question and you don't hear anybody else say it, feel free, make sure you ask, because Peter will let me know.
Susan Eckerd says, hi, I'm from snowy, of course, Montana.
Oh, okay, nice. Of course, what do you mean by of course,
like,
Montana?
in parentheses, she said snowy, of course.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah. Yeah.
Kalika asks, do you use open acrylics from Golden? And open is in quotation marks.
No, these are not Golden Opens. I don't really have any experience with them. I know some people who do use Golden Opens. I've never gotten into it because, not because I don't think they're good. I actually think that they would probably be a really nice, kind of paint to use once you got into it and used to it and everything like that. But the reason that I've never gotten into it is because I started using these normal heavy-bodied paints, and I kind of figured out a way to make it work for me. And so by the time I kind of came to think about should I try some of these Golden Opens, I kind of had already become a little bit set in my ways, at least to the point where I thought, I don't know if I want to. I read some reviews on the Golden Opens, and some of them kind of scared me because they talked about things like the paints not drying very fast, which of course is the reason you use them. But there were cases where they put on paint kind of thick, and it actually took a month or so for the paint to dry. And I just thought, it sounds to me like something that I would need to really figure out, and I didn't really feel like trying that hard. So again, I know some artists who use them and use them very well, and I would be interested in learning if I wasn't so set in my ways. Maybe someday down the road I will.
We got a couple more questions. Kalika asks, do the heavy body dry slower than the regular acrylics?
No, these are pretty normal. I think it kind of brand to brand can vary a little bit, but in general, it's going to be pretty similar. And I don't think that these are really any different than the, like, what you mean by normal acrylics might be a medium-bodied acrylic or something like that. But these, in my opinion, I think of these as normal acrylics, just because there's nothing really added to them. They're just the acrylic polymer and pigment. Was there another question?
Yeah, Joan asks, can you mix water mixable oils in with acrylic paints?
Water mixable oils in with acrylics. You can not really do that. I mean, you're gonna get something weird that would happen. It might not happen right away, but over time, you would get something weird that would happen. The reason is because even though they're both using water as the kind of thinning agent, the big difference is that one is oil and one is latex or acrylic, and therefore the latex one is going to dry much quicker than the oil. And so what that's going to do is, if you were mixing them, you'd have these things drying at completely different rates, and it would end up being problematic for how they work together. Like, it would just be really, really weird, really funky. But the thing that you can do very easily, and a lot of people do, is you can use acrylics underneath oils. So if you wanted to do some of your painting in acrylics and then you wanted to finish in oils, which I have no idea why anybody would ever want to do something so sad like that, because you'd be basically ruining a very great acrylic painting by putting oil over the top. I'm just joking. That's my acrylic bias coming out. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? But I mean, a lot of people do that. A lot of professional artists use acrylic paints as kind of their underpainting, because they can do something really fast. Like, you could put down the main colors, the main values, everything like that really fast. It dries completely, and then you could come back and work over it and take time and be more nuanced if you wanted to with oils, and you could blend things for a long time, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I see a lot of people do, but you wouldn't want to mix the two at the same time. But another good question. If there was one type of oil that I would be interested, I've told some of you guys this, I'm sure, but I would be interested in trying water mixable oils. They are kind of interesting to me. I don't like the idea of thinners and all that stuff. So, like, traditional oils don't appeal to me really at all, but water mixable oils, they kind of appeal to me, and I have some interest in trying them and seeing what they're like and all that. In fact, I think I told some people this, but right before we started Acrylic University, I had bought some water mixable oils because I was going to try them out a little bit. And then we ended up starting Acrylic University, and I basically only used them one time or something, and I'd never really gotten into them.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my friend he's an ambassador for Royal Talons, and Royal Talons owns this company that makes water mixable oils. It's called Cobra, and they're some of the nicer water mixable paints that are out there for oils. And so anyways, that was kind of where I was like, I'm gonna buy some of those and see what they're like. But in general, I mean, he's the same friend who told me back a long time ago when I was thinking about switching over to oils and all this stuff, because in fact I had a conversation with another professional artist this week, and he was saying the same thing. It's that there just aren't that many of us out there who use acrylics as professional artists. And so sometimes you know, if you're kind of like looking around, you can start thinking, wow, I'm the only person out here. Am I doing the right thing? Should I be switching to oils? And as I was having that conversation in my head, I had this, a real conversation with my friend, and he said, I was kind of saying, yeah, I'm thinking about switching to oils. What do you think about this? And he said, why would you do that? Like, you're really good with what you do. I don't know why you would switch. And so
I'm glad he told you that.
I know, me too. Sometimes you need people to kind of speak into your life and help. But I mean, even though right now I don't think I would make any switch or anything like that, it's still the only thing that even remotely fascinates me. It's like that idea of water mixable oils. I know that the last time I painted in oils, though, I was so frustrated that that was when I walked away from them. Like, I was like, because I was thinking about, it was in that whole time when I was thinking about switching, and my friend said that to me, and then I went and I did a workshop, and I tried them one time, just because I didn't listen to them right away. And then I was like, yeah, you know what? These are really frustrating for me. I'm going to just go back to my normal.
Let's see. Oh, Carolyn asks, I know you do a thumbnail first. Yeah, of course. Jed does a thumbnail every single time without fail. Like,
what are you saying there, Peter? That sounds a little sarcastic there, buddy.
In all the hundreds of paintings I've seen you do a thumbnail for every single one for sure.
Yeah. Well, so who said that? Carol? Did I hear?
Carolyn. And then she asked, do you decide which colors you're going to use for each area?
Okay, Carolyn, here's the truth. I did not do a thumbnail sketch for this painting. Oftentimes when I am a big proponent of thumbnail sketches. It's a very critical part of learning to paint, and it's a very critical part of if you want to produce good quality paintings consistently, like almost every great artist that I know does that type of thing. But sometimes I do enough editing work in my like for a painting like this, I cropped the image. I shifted things around a little bit, like moving it this way and this way, and I kind of come up with a design sometimes within the photograph that I'm happy with. And if I do that, then I don't necessarily go to the work of creating a thumbnail sketch. But I also don't necessarily think through specifically like, oh, these colors are what I'm going to use exactly like that. What I do is I look at the colors, and for instance, in this photograph, like if I'm kind of pointing at what's on your screen, I notice like there's a very cool blue in the foreground. There's this nice light area that I can't point at exactly, but where the light's shining on the snow. And then back further, there's that bit of color right here in those trees, right? And actually, I just realized I kind of forgot a little bit of land back there sloping up. But that color was really kind of fascinating to me because it was such a nice, bright color. And so yes, I am thinking about that stuff. I'm thinking about how the painting can read as an overall kind of idea and as a painting as it would work, but I'm not always at this point, sometimes I do skip the process of doing a thumbnail sketch. Now, if I'm doing something that I can't come up with a design right away, or I don't see something that really works, I definitely do thumbnail sketches. For instance, if I'm doing a commission, like I do a lot of commissions, and I always do, they're actually a little bit bigger than a thumbnail sketch, but I do these design sketches for people so that they'll see what I'm thinking about, and they'll be able to give me feedback on a commission. So they have input from square one, and I'm not guessing whether or not they're going to like the painting. And that helps me, because then I know, okay, they're okay with this design. And if I follow my design sketch through, really they're gonna like the end product. And if they don't, I can always kind of say, well, show me what you want to have changed. But if I followed the design sketch through, I mean, I've never really had anybody who wasn't happy with the end product. So yeah, thumbnail sketches, design sketches they're super, super helpful, super important in my painting process. After you do a ton of them, sometimes you can get away without doing them. Like, I don't have anybody in particular who's gonna want this painting. I'm not painting it for somebody. So, I took a little shortcut. I didn't do the thumbnail sketch on it, but I have a pretty good idea that the design that is here is gonna work, and I don't have a lot riding on it either. Like, if it wasn't my best painting ever, I believe it'll be good enough that I'll be happy with it, and I can adjust something as we go. But like, when I look at, the one thing that I did notice is when I was looking at the photograph, as I was thinking about this stand of trees, and I was thinking, okay, what am I going to do to make it a little bit more interesting? And you can see that right here, I lightened up this stand of trees back there a little bit. There's a little bit more contrast between this foreground tree and that back kind of sloping hill of trees. And part of the reason I did that is because I wanted a little bit more differentiation there to bring a little bit more interest into that foreground set of trees. So, great question.
Lisa Elliott asks, how do you decide on your color palette in advance?
Well, I pretty much use these colors all the time. This is white. With this yellow, it's almost the most pure yellow that you can get. Like, this yellow can go towards orange, and it can go towards green very easily. It's cadmium yellow light, and it's a nice versatile yellow. I have this orange because this red leans towards violet. It slightly leans towards violet. And so this orange kind of fills the gap between those. This blue leans towards red, and this blue leans towards green. And honestly, with these colors, I can make pretty much any color that I need to. And by limiting myself to those, I'm pretty confident that my painting is going to work together. And in terms of, if you were thinking more about what palette am I using in the painting, very rarely do I start out thinking, okay, I'm going to make this, let's see, like there are different ways of thinking. I'm going to, for instance, an analogous color scheme where you're only using, colors within maybe blue into blue-green and into green and maybe into yellow-green. Like, that's 4 or 5 colors, and then you have the grays in there. Like, that would be an analogous color scheme, and you stick right within that. You don't really throw in any orange or any red or any violet. You keep everything really tight, close together. I've done that a few times and I kind of liked it. It was kind of fun, but generally I look at a scene and I think, okay, like we've got some bluish green in the mountains that's really quite grayed down. We've got some light blue in the hills here. But you can see, like, I put on orange and pink in the under drawing, and that's already going to be quite a contrast. So if I was really trying to do an analogous color scheme, I wouldn't have used those at all. I would have just put in something that was already within the family of colors that it is. So in general, I rely on a limited palette to keep my paintings in harmony with the colors, and I trust that I'll be able to create a lot of variety with just those few colors.
Okay, so this is a good question. Andrea asks, "Hi Jed, how long were you painting before you thought I am a painter and you felt confident taking commissions?"
The first time somebody offered me money. I'm just joking. No, I am kind of pragmatic though, but that's a good question. I mean, because I think what you're hitting on, for one, is this issue of the reservations that we have, the hesitations that we have to call ourselves a painter. And I would ask you, what is your hesitation in calling yourself a painter? I think for me, for most people, what it is it's fear. It's fear, and it's maybe a misconception about what it means to be an artist.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes we think an artist is a certain type of person, and we have some stereotype, some kind of idea in our head about what that looks like, and we don't match up to what that looks like. We did an interview a couple weeks ago with a friend of ours. Her name's, oh boy. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that I'm doing this right now. Oh yeah, okay, Jessica Green. And she was talking about this a little bit because, at first she said she started out and she was an art teacher. She taught art in school, and she would compare herself to people that she thought of as real artists, and they were, maybe they were full-time, they weren't teaching like she was. They were, what else? Like they lived in an apartment downtown by themselves. They weren't a mom like she was. So, that discredited her in her mind, like all these different things that she kind of threw in there as, well, I'm not a real artist. And it took her a while to kind of get past some of that and realize, oh, actually, you know what? It's okay. I can call myself an artist, and I don't have to fit into some kind of box that isn't real, that isn't true. And so that's kind of what I'd ask you is, what do you think an artist is? What if you called yourself an artist? What holds you back from calling yourself an artist? Because it probably is more in your own head than out of your own head. Like, there is no standard of what it means to be an artist. And here's my thing, is that I believe that all of us, every person in this world, is very creative. I believe that you're born creative. I believe that you can nurture that creativity. And I believe that you can grow in that, and I think that what's the harm? I mean, I understand that to call yourself an artist, I think sometimes we think, well, I'm not pursuing it as a full-time career. That's okay. Like, I played baseball growing up a ton, and I would have called myself a baseball player, but I'd never made my living from playing baseball, right? I mean, there's only a select few people in the world who get to make a living from playing baseball or basketball or football. But does that mean that everybody else who plays football or basketball or baseball or volleyball or does gymnastics cannot say that they're a gymnast or that they're a baseball player or a volleyball player or whatever it is? I mean, we would look at that and we'd say, well, that doesn't make sense, right? Because, I mean, they're still doing it. But why do we say that about an artist? You know, I'm not a professional artist. I don't make my living from doing art. So, it doesn't mean that you're not an artist. You know, I've never sold anything. I've never had anybody buy anything. So, I mean, isn't it who was it, Picasso or Van Gogh or somebody, like, there's artists that died, like, so not famous and in misery, and then after they die, you know, they get all famous. And so it'd be kind of a bummer if they lived their whole life thinking, I'm not an artist, I'm not an artist, I'm not an artist. And they have no idea that after they die, how many museums are going to host their paintings and show them off and all that kind of stuff, right? And so, yeah, what does it mean to be an artist? Now, commissions are a kind of a separate question for me, because that has more to do with your comfort, your comfort and confidence in what you can do, right? So I would just suggest taking baby steps. And I've developed a system for taking commissions that I firmly believe is really, it helps me a ton, because I think one of the things that's the scariest about commissions is just that you don't know if they're going to like it, right? You don't know what they're looking for, and then you have all this pressure. Am I going to do something wrong? Like, will they be happy with what I do? All of this kind of stuff. And I have found with the process that I already described, I'll just go through it real briefly again, but I've found that if I follow this process, I can feel really confident in the whole deal. Like I'm not worried that they don't know what they're getting. I'm not worried that they're not going to like it. And the way I do it is I don't take any money down. I look at what they're telling me. The only way I would take money down is if they wanted a painting of something that I would never be able to sell to anybody else. But as long as it's a painting that I think I could sell to somebody else, then I don't take money down, and I just work out the agreement. The agreement's almost always based on size alone. And we talk, I get in and I try to understand what they are looking for. What are they going for, and why? Everybody has a story, and they want their story, they want a commission because it's going to help remind them of something. It's going to help them remember their children when their kids were young. It's going to help them remember a special place that they used to go to. It's going to help them something like that. And so that understanding why it's significant for the person matters for you as an artist, because it's going to help you paint it. It's going to help you get into like the emotion of what they're wanting. And so anyways, I try to understand what's going on. Like, why does this matter to you? What are you hoping to see in this? Because you might think that it's one thing. You know, they ask for a picture of, you know, something, and you think they want it for a certain reason. And maybe they don't want it for that reason. Like, for instance, say somebody wants a picture of their house, and you take that and you just say, okay, I know exactly what to do. But you don't know that they wanted a picture of it on a rainy day because they're blah, blah, blah. You know, something happened and the mood of the painting is different than what you were imagining. So like it's really helpful to get into the head of the person who wants it and to try to understand what's going on. And then I do the design sketch for them in the ratio of the painting that they want, the size that they want. Like if it's 20 by 20, I'll do a square little design for them. If it's 12 by 16, I'll do a design that's ratio of 3 by 4. And I make sure that I make that really accurate, because you don't want to have a design that works good and looks good, but then you can't actually put it onto your canvas because you screwed up and you made the design the wrong dimensions. So then once they approve the design, I'll show it to them, and if they want to change something early on like that, they have the opportunity to change it right then. They can say, no, I don't like it, I do like it, change this, do that, and they have full rights to kind of come and make any kind of change that they see fit. And so I'll get it until they say, yes, we wanted, that's the one right there. And then I go away and I tell them, well, I'll send you a picture when I'm 90% done. Because if they have approved my design, I don't want them to meddle in the middle of the painting. Like, it doesn't profit them, it doesn't help me if they see it before I'm pretty much happy with it. So I just take it and I schedule it and I start working on it. And then when I'm 90% done, I send them a picture, and they have another opportunity to give me feedback. They can tell me they like it, they don't like it, they want to change something, they want me to just wrap it up right there and then it's good to go. Whatever it is, they can tell me that. And when I've done any changes that they want and they finally give me the final approval, then I say, okay, I send them an invoice, and then when I get the money, I send them the painting. And for me, this has proven to be a very easy process. It takes pressure off of me because, like for instance, if this was a scene that somebody wanted me to paint, I wouldn't care. To be honest, I wouldn't really care that much if they did not end up buying this. Because I think this is going to be a great painting no matter what. And I know that I could sell this to somebody else. So I don't really have any pressure. The other person doesn't really have pressure because they haven't invested their money yet. And so they're not, and I've been communicating with them, so they feel good about things. They have a chance to give me input and everything. And anyways, that's kind of the way that I approach it. Now, if you don't feel confident that you could pull off the painting, then you need to determine whether or not you want to try it. Maybe you figure out a way that you could do it in a way that maybe relieves you of some of the pressure. Maybe you say, I'll do it for free, or I'll, like you give them a good deal, or you say, I want to do it, but I'm not 100% sure. If it's a friend, they'll probably understand. And you can work on it that way, and you can kind of see what happens, right? But you might be in for too much pressure if you took money down. There's a lot of artists I know that hate commissions. They don't like commissions at all, and they've had miserable experiences with them. And I think a lot of it is just the pressure and doing it in a way that puts extra pressure on themselves. So, to me, commissions are a good thing. They're reliable. It's a good way to, secure a painting sale. And if you can do them, for me, it's really fun because I get to know people. I get to hear what matters to them, and I get to see, some of their story. And so I like commissions a lot. But it can also be really a pain. So I know that was a super long explanation of that, but I actually think that's one of the most helpful things that I know of that I can share with people who want to be a professional artist or pursue selling their work, because I think it's one of the things that I'm happiest about figuring out. And so hopefully it was helpful for you.
Yeah, I have a friend who said, if you think you're an artist, you're not. And if you think you're not an artist, you are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
But anyway, so Kalika asks how many commissions you do in a year.
Oh, I've got a list of 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got a list of 11 on my little chalkboard in here that I've done a couple of them already. I've done probably, let's see, I've done probably like 4 of them already. And then I've got 7 more, something like that. And that'll be, I do throughout a year, maybe 20, 30. I'm not sure. Maybe not 30 right now, but I might do 30 if I've done it. It feels like I do more and more because people often see a painting of mine that they love, but it's sold, and then it gets them thinking about what they loved about it, and we start talking, and then we kind of come up with some idea like what they actually really want, and so sometimes that's the way it works. But yeah, I do quite a bit, and that's why I'm so happy with my process, because if it was miserable for me, I'd be in a lot of misery all the time, right? So
Probably wouldn't do them.
no, I wouldn't. I'd be like, no, thank you. The thing that's nice about them is you can kind of schedule them, right? It's like almost like scheduling a sale. Anyways, carry on, Peter.
So Susan asks, since you're not giving away these Friday night paintings anymore, what are you doing with them?
Well, what am I doing with them? I don't have that many because I've given away most of them up till this point. I turned a couple of them later afterwards. I put them into my show in October. What else have I done? It's not that I don't want to give them away. It's that I don't always, because I do so much teaching and so much video work and so much stuff, I don't have that. And like I said, I paint so many commissions that I don't have that often that I'm, always just working on a painting that's not one of those things. It's not a commission. It's not, whatever. So for me, it's kind of like, this is a good opportunity for me to even just start a painting, that I can finish later, or, something like that. So you might see a painting of mine afterwards. You might see it in a show. I don't know. Like normally at this time of year, I usually have a Christmas show online, and I haven't been able to this year because same reason, I just don't have enough work to show. And I brought 11 paintings or 10 paintings or something like that, maybe only 8, down to one of our galleries that I show in Edmonds recently. So, and I think that actually I just sold one of the paintings that I did as a demo. It wasn't from a Friday Night Live, but it was another demo painting that I worked on after the fact and kind of made it a little bit more like I wanted it to be, at least. You still there, Peter?
Yep.
Any other questions out there?
Heather Bruce asks, what is the name of the gallery in Edmonds?
Oh, that's Cole Cole Gallery, COLE, and it's I believe it's colegallery.net if you were looking it up online. This reminds me, now that I'm looking at this scene here, it reminds me of going snowshoeing a couple weekends ago. My brother came up today. Peter, I don't know if you want to try to go snowshoeing tomorrow, but he's going snowshoeing.
Oh, nice.
You could yeah.
What time?
I don't actually know, but you could probably catch a ride. He's borrowing our Suburban.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Snowshoeing.
Looks really fun.
It's so peaceful out there.
I know.
And it's just so quiet. You know how it is when it snows.
Yeah.
You're out in there and it's like insulation, and you know, hear the birds, but really not that much else. It's so awesome.
I bet. Nice little getaway.
Yeah.
Carolyn asks, what is the size of most of your work?
Oh boy. A lot of my demos I end up doing that are this size, right? They're 12 by 16s because they fit in what I'm trying to do. It's a achievable size for me to finish, or at least mostly finish, in an hour and 15 minutes or so. And so that's a lot of what I do in the demonstrations and stuff. But then outside of that, it really depends. I have finished a 20 by 20, a 24 by 36. Let's see. I've got a couple of the commissions that I'm doing are bigger, like 36 by 48. Yeah, so it kind of is a variety. And then every once in a while I'll do little tiny paintings like 6 by 6. We're doing the miniature challenge now, so I mean it hasn't started yet officially, but we're doing it and I'm painting for it, and those are all like 6 by 6 or 8 by 8 paintings. So they're very small. And but they're kind of fun. They're like the kind of painting that you can do in a short sitting. So if you want to be involved in that, I don't know if you're a member of Acrylic University, or if you sign up before the end of the year, it'll be included as a bonus. I'm not sure if we'll include it after that. I don't think we are. But you can also just join that. It's going to be one miniature painting, one little miniature lesson every
single
week for 52 weeks, which is unreal. Like, I mean, I've actually talked to a bunch of people that are like, why are you selling that for so cheap? And I'm like, well, whatever. But it's made me think, that's why I'm not going to include it probably in the new year in like the bonuses, because I'm like, this is just a little too much. A little too much that we're putting in here. But you can be part of it. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Fun. Yeah, I keep thinking about it. I keep thinking, there's it's fun. That's what I was saying earlier though too, about the the world tour. Like, it's fun to have things that you're excited about. And the world tour is definitely one of those things too, where I just think, oh, this is going to be super great. I'm kind of really looking forward to what that will end up looking like.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Lots of awesome things coming in 2021 for sure. Andrea, the world tour is basically, we're going to be mapping out tour, like a quote unquote tour, where Jed paints a bunch of different locations from all over the world. And we're calling it a world tour, but we'll have like a roadmap week to week and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's Friday Night Live,
Yeah.
basically, but there will be a kind of like a tour happening. There'll be more. They'll be tied together. Like we're gonna start in one place and we're gonna go to another place. We're gonna go to another place, and so it'll be really fun. Especially in these times when we may not be able to travel as much as we would like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the sky, as you can see, I'm painting yellow, which if you are hanging around me long, you'll know that I like yellow skies. They're kind of fun. And I was talking to somebody today trying to explain the idea behind values and colors and all of that kind of stuff, because values, the color has three attributes, right? It has hue, saturation, and value. And the most important, in my opinion, of those three attributes is value, because the value of the color is how light or dark it is. And I learned this a long time ago from a great artist named Mike Schwab, and he would often say that you can change the color, the hue of a color, but if you keep the value correct, it'll still look nice and it'll read well. But if you mess with the value too much, then you often that's where you get in trouble. So for me, that's meant that I've been able to paint with a lot of freedom that I don't think I otherwise would have had, to do something like this. Like, let's paint this sky yellow. Let's see what that looks like, right? And as long as we keep the value of the sky correct, then it'll probably look pretty good. It'll probably read okay. If we screw up the value, then we're going to get in trouble. But that means you can try different colors. And if this doesn't look good, I could switch. I could go to green. I could go to anything. I could paint it blue the way that it was. I could paint it a violet color. I could do whatever. But I'm not bound to paint it exactly like the photograph says or anything. And often, one of the things that if you go out and you take a lot of pictures and you compare those pictures to what it really felt like in person when you were there, you realize that a lot of times the photographs don't really represent what was going on that day. And so if you are locked into the photograph as your rule, it can hinder your joy in painting and even in recreating the feel of the day. And so whether or not the yellow sky in this is accurate, it might be accurate. It might, I'm not saying it was, but it could be more accurate to help with the feel of the overall painting to achieve what it felt like on the day that I was there. Now, I have a question for you guys. Does anybody know where this photograph is taken? That's kind of a trick question because I don't know if anybody would know besides maybe Renee. Renee being my wife.
Maybe someone will guess it.
I'll give you an idea. I'll give you a hint. But I'm not going to give my hint right away. I'm going to let you try for a minute here, and then we'll see if anybody gets close. If nobody gets close or gets it, I'll give you my hint.
Jones says Colorado. Susan says glacier.
Okay, good guesses, but no and no. It's not really a fair question. I understand that. But I need to have a little bit of fun.
Aomi says, I have a question about the miniature painting series. Are the classes available on the membership For the Love of Painting list of classes? They're not there right now, but you will, if you're a member already, you will get that added to you when we start the mini painting challenge. So don't worry about that.
Yep, good question. It'll be in there.
Sherry Martin says Utah. That's a good guess. Tracy goes
that's a great guess, Utah, since I was just there.
Twin Peaks, Mount Baker, Stevens Pass.
Good guesses. Okay, I'm going to give you a hint. This is my hint, since nobody's getting that close. It starts with a K. This particular place starts with a K. And I'll give you another hint. It's not in the United States of America.
Whoa.
What's that? What was the whoa for?
I just didn't expect that.
Oh, okay. But I have been here. This is my photograph. I took this, and I took this photograph a little over 2 years ago.
Okay, Sawtooth National Forest, Canada, Kananaskis.
Yeah, there it is right there, Kananaskis. Ellen, good job. I see that.
Nice.
This is Kananaskis. Yep, that's right. Kananaskis. So I went up there a couple years ago for it was the plein air, I think it's called Fall Color Week, and it was really fun, super fun. Basically it's like a little retreat for artists, and it was a blast. Got to know a lot of people. And then also got to go out and paint these incredible scenes like this that were, there was just, it's called Fall Color Week, but they didn't know that it was going to snow. It snowed the day before we got there. It snowed about, like 15 inches or something. It was like quite a bit of snow. And so, in fact, I think it was like maybe a day and a half before we were there, the whole road was shut down leading up to the resort. So we were I loved it because it was cold, and it was, it was a little, limiting in some ways because you couldn't necessarily, I don't know. I mean, in some ways it was a little bit limiting, but in other ways it was super awesome because all of a sudden you had these incredible scenes, and with the snow on the ground, it was like an extra impact on what was already really beautiful. And it was fun because some of the people who were there had never painted snow before. They'd never been really in a situation like that. They're from Texas or, I don't know where, but they never painted snow. So it was kind of cool. And I remember the day that I went out and I took this photograph, I was looking for a place to paint, and there's if you can imagine, between like here and way over there, there's a trail that comes all this way through, and I had hiked down that trail, and I was what was I I was looking for, I wasn't actually at that time looking for a place to paint, because I was realizing that my time to be there was kind of short. And I was starting to think, man, I want to get a lot of photographs while I'm here too, and not just paint. So I spent a little bit of time that day walking around and looking at what was there and thinking, how can I where can I go to get the best photographs? I mean, I'm only going to be here for a little bit longer. And so anyways, I spent that time walking around, hiking around, probably for about a couple hours that day. And it was super, super fun. Saw some deer back behind me. I kept thinking I was going to run into a bear. I didn't, but I kept thinking, oh, I wonder if I'll see a cougar or a bear or something like that here. But yeah, this is Kananaskis. Right, not very far from Banff. If you've never heard of Kananaskis, you may have heard of Banff, and they're pretty close to each other. They're about, I'm just trying to remember, I can't remember if it's about half an hour, 45 minutes apart, but they're pretty close. And if you didn't know this about me, I am a dual citizen. I am a Canadian as well as an American. And that is because my wife is fully Canadian. And we lived in Vancouver, BC for 10 years. So I am officially a Canuck. Now there's some
Sharon says, this has been fascinating to watch your process, and I really appreciate your almost finished product.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad that it's kind of fun to watch. That was the debate, whether it would be more fun to watch me do handstands on the gymnastics bar or paint. And we never took the survey, so I just decided I'd stay here and do this rather than try to do gymnastics.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I am too. Okay, now these are, they could be a little bit darker. I was kind of seeing if making these lighter would make it look like they were, I don't know, pushed back a little bit, but there's too much of a difference between them and these. And you can kind of tell in your brain, like your brain's like, wait, those look like the same kind of trees, and why are they that much lighter? So sometimes, you block in your painting, you get all the colors in, and then you step and you look at it and you say, okay, you know what? This needs to be adjusted. This needs to be refined. And that's the stage of the painting that takes the longest. And that's the stage that I'm in now, because everything's kind of covered already. So now it's a matter of looking at it and saying, okay, well, what would make it better? What would help the painting come together?
Doug says, I'm still waiting for the gymnastics.
Oh, no, Doug, don't, no. Man, if people paid me enough money, I'd do it. But it would it would take, what would it take, man? I don't know. Like, I would have to have enough money to cover the doctor, the ambulance, and, enough maybe to cover a couple weeks of work, right? So that we could eat and stuff like that without me being able to work. So, like, that's what it's going to take for me to get out there and do that.
Matthew Kelly asks, why'd you paint the sky yellow instead of blue?
Because, mostly because you can. It doesn't really matter. I was kind of talking about that a little bit ago, that we're not limited to the color that we see. As long as we keep the values correct, we can experiment with different things. And so you can see that the value, it may or may not be the best to have. I'm not saying that my choice is the best, but you definitely have room to experiment with all of this. And so like I like to experiment, and I like to see what's kind of working, what isn't working, and go from there. But I paint skies yellow sometimes because I know that it has worked in the past. I know kind of that it gives it a warmer feel overall, and I kind of like it, right? So, but like this color in there that I'm going over, I didn't like. I was just looking at that, and it looked kind of like a really ugly brown color, and it didn't really fit into the scheme of the painting. And it might be that in the end I'll go over the sky too. I'm also going to go over this part over here for the same reason. I don't really like this kind of peachy color over there. And you can see if I did paint the sky blue, it's going to bring out this yellow right here a lot, because that yellow is going to be the only thing that's not, this painting could become what I was talking about earlier. So I'll do it. I'm going to paint the sky a very crisp, cool blue. It's going to be light still, but it's going to be very much of a blue. And we'll see kind of how this will change the whole feel of it. Now, some of the yellow that's on there, I can leave a little bit of that showing through potentially, and that will help the painting still have a feeling of a bit of depth and texture, because it's not one coat of color. It's got that layering, and so that can be nice. So that's why you don't have to think about your painting as right or wrong, like you made a good choice or you made a bad choice. Like, as I'm going here, I can appreciate the layer that I have underneath, and I can let some of it show through, and the painting wouldn't be the same if it wasn't there. So that just is saying, if you think something's a mistake, you know what? Like Bob Ross said, it's a happy little accident. Just go with it. Let that play into the finished product of your painting, and let it make it what it's going to be. It's going to help your painting become what it really can be, and it's actually probably going to make it better if you're able to, not give up on it and work with it and keep going. You'll see that a lot of those things happen, and they create a more textured painting, a more interesting, nuanced painting. But you just can't give up on it. So you can see I'm kind of creating, I'm adding a little bit more yellow to my paint over here, so that this is a little bit more like a blue-green, a light blue-green over here, kind of a, because I know that the source of light, the sun, is coming from over here. That's kind of the light shining through this way. So now all of a sudden it's changed quite a bit back, right? I'm going to do something here. I'm going to see if, trying to see if, sometimes I swear that you guys probably can't see the colors the same as me, but might just be that the angle of the light. Anyways, it looks a little bit more blue to me than what you guys see. It looks a little bit washed out, but it's okay. We'll keep rolling with it.
Patricia, some people saying they like the yellow, actually.
Yeah, no, I mean, the yellow sky.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, there's nothing that is, like, so, how long did it take me to paint the sky? Probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes maybe? At the most 5, like, I don't know, but it didn't take very long, right? So how long would it take me to paint it back? The same amount of time, basically, right?
Yeah.
So with this kind of thing, it's not, for me, painting is problem solving. You don't have to know exactly what you're doing from the beginning, because even if you think you know what you're doing, probably it's not going to go the exact way that you planned, and you're going to have to do some problem solving. One of my favorite quotes about that is from another artist that I studied under. His name's Robert Gann, and he said, "Successful painting is a combination of careful planning and brilliant improvisation." And so I'll say it again. Successful painting is a combination of careful planning and brilliant improvisation. You will always need to improvise. You always need to problem solve and look at your paintings and try to figure out what's working, what isn't working, and make decisions that are reacting in some ways, because the planning part is where you say, I know where I'm going, and we're going to be marching in this direction. Okay, Mr. Painting, like, this is where we're going. I'm the boss. I'm telling you where to go. We did our thumbnail sketch. We know what's up. But then the other part of being a boss is that you're a good listener. And so when your employer or your employee starts telling you, well, it's not actually working that well that way, you need to be a good enough boss to say, okay, guess what? Change of plans. We're not doing it that way anymore. We're going to do it this way. So somebody asked me about the sky, and they said, why'd you paint it yellow? And I was like, well, it doesn't have to be yellow. I can paint it the other way. Let's see what it looks like. For me, it's more of an experiment. It's kind of like saying, let's see what happens. And sometimes you realize, oh, you know what? It was better the other way. Well, more often than not, it's not that hard to change it back, right? I mean, for me, that's kind of the way that I work. I know that maybe I'm more, I'm not as worried about it as somebody else might be, but that's why I love acrylics so much, is because I can do that, and I'm not, like, if it was oil and I put down the wrong color, then I'd think, oh, I have to scrape it off. I have to do something. No, this is like pretty close to being dry. In another 2 minutes, I'll be able to go over it with another coat if I want, and we can just keep going. So, okay, well, we need to take that. If you guys see right down here, you could win a $50 gift card for art supplies. So this is the time to text that number on that rolling screen down there, 425-310-4182, and we're going to send you, if you win, a $50 gift card to Blick. So take this time to do that. And, I feel like the next time we do I'm not going to say anything. You know what I was thinking at one time? Are you still there with me, Peter? You haven't talked for a long time.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay. We've had so many different technical things recently that I got a little nervous there,
Yeah, no,
thinking that you were gone. Yeah.
Somebody asked if your style's been mostly the same or if it's developed over time.
Yeah, for sure. My style has, in some ways, been fairly consistent, but in a lot of ways, I mean, it changes because you take a workshop, you study with somebody, you adapt a part of what they do into your, kind of painting, and you go on and you keep learning, you keep growing, you keep trying new things. Sometimes it's just, something that you experiment with and you discover that you really liked something. And so my style, I would say I've gotten more confident in the process of painting than I used to be, because I know that I can make a mistake, do something dumb, and I know that I can fix it relatively easy. Back before, I would have been more nervous about trying something because I didn't know how hard it would be to fix it or not. And like, oh man, I did something really dumb the other day, because sometimes I'm a little bit, I don't know if I'd say cocky, but this is something I did the other day, and I'll share it because it might be helpful for you. I was working on a commission, and I got it to a place where I was pretty happy with it, and I sent it to the client, I guess you could say, and she looked at it and she said, "Well, what if you did this? Could you do this?" And I was sitting and thinking about it, and I looked at the painting, and I was like, "That's fine. I'll work on that." And as I was, going away and thinking about it, I realized, like, if I'm going to do that, I think I need to change a fair amount of this, right? And it wasn't just putting, at least the way that I determined I would do it, required that I basically do a glaze over the whole painting and change it very significantly, and so much so that when I thought about it later, I realized I wish I would have just started a new painting, because I was happy. Like, the painting was good the way that it was when I sent it to her. It was a nice painting. There was nothing really wrong with it. It just was that she kind of actually didn't know exactly what she was looking for in the beginning. And so when she said what she said, it was a deviation from the design that I had sent her. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of had to come up with a new design type of thing, and at least like the painting. But all that to say that I went and I did this whole big change to the painting, and it ended up, she loved it. She loved what I did. But I told Renee later, I was like, man, I wish I would have just started a new painting and kept that original one. Then I would have had two paintings, because I'd worked on that original design a long time. Yeah.
Can I show silver?
Yeah. Hey, we've got a special guest coming in, and we're gonna go like this real quick so we can show our kitty cat, Silver. Willow brought in, so you can say hi to. I know, he's gotten so big. He was just a little baby kitten when we got him in the spring, and now he's, man, let's see, he's like 10 months old.
No, he's not 10 pounds.
But he is 10 months, and he's a big boy now.
Are you going to remember to give away the flip cards?
And still mischievous as ever.
Yep, still mischievous as ever. So, thank you, Willow, for coming in here and doing that. So we're going to be wrapping up here pretty soon, and I'll finish this painting later. But Peter, do we have people come in and done the oh, that's nice. People are saying Merry Christmas to Willow. But have we gotten somebody to win the gift card yet?
You want me to pick it?
Yeah.
All right,
Let's
sounds
do
good.
it.
I will do that.
Let's do it.
All right, I sent the text.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. I guess we won't see you again
Yeah,
until
I know,
after Christmas.
I know.
Like,
Absolutely, I know. It's that was why I was saying it. I guess we have a good excuse for next week not doing it, because next
Yeah.
week is Christmas Day. But we're gonna be enjoying a nice Christmas, and I hope that you guys are too.
yeah, absolutely. All right, yeah, we got our winner.
Got our winner. Okay, cool. Well, let's hear who it is.
All right, her name is Deb Sapito. We have a few Debs out there, so.
Oh, awesome.
Sorry if
Okay,
I
cool.
mispronounced your last name there, but
No, well, I don't know how to pronounce it either, but Deb, congratulations. We're so glad that you were with us. And you guys, it's been super fun. I'm glad that you were able to be here, and I'm glad that you were able to ask questions, and hopefully I gave you some kind of answer that was helpful. We love you. We believe in you. Remember to be safe and have a really, really good Christmas. We're going to miss you next week, but we'll be back the following week. I think it might be New Year's Day or something like that, but I think that we'll be back. If it is New Year's Day, that'll be January 1st. Yeah, that's right. It will be January 1st.
2021.
So, Peter, I don't know, man, but we'll have to... Do you want to say now whether we want to start the world tour, or do you want to start the week after that?
I want to start it that week if we can.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go for it. January
plan,
1st, we're
guys.
going to be here, and we're going to be on a road trip, world tour. So don't miss it. Make sure you tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody that you know, and come back January 1st. We'll see you then. We love you. We believe in you. Have a great time. Merry Christmas.